The world tends to move way too fast to make sense of it all. So with this in mind, here's December's patch notes. The New Zealand server has made an executive decision to ban the sale of cigarettes this month, becoming one of the very first in the world to do so. The dangers of smoking have long been studied and understood by the player base, and unlike many other skill trees, which tend to unlock fun abilities or useful passive perks, the smoking skill tree is mostly just filled with various crippling illnesses. As the plan currently stands, the devs intend to ban the sale of cigarettes to all players who started after patch 20.08, meaning in theory, the new batch of players won't ever have to contend with what's widely been considered a skill point trap for new players. New Zealand authorities are subsequently expecting a black market to quickly arise after the ban. However, when considering that cigarettes have sharply fallen out of favor among younger players anyway, it's hoped that there simply won't be a demand to feed cigarette smugglers in the first place. It's currently unclear whether other servers will adopt these same bans. However, when considering cigarettes account for 15% of all deaths within New Zealand, a wider scale phase out could save more players than the widely praised seatbelt update. Notorious troller Vladimir_Putin_69 has once again been scolded by moderators this month after he moved an estimated 120,000 troops to the Ukrainian border. This sparked a response from United States leader Joe Biden D's nuts, who asked Mr. Putin if he could kindly cease and desist, a request which was promptly ignored. This hasn't even been the first time in a year that Mr. Putin has pulled the same prank on the people of Ukraine, as he also made the effort to amass similar numbers along the 250-kilometer border in early April. Commentators have since attempted to understand why the Russian leader would keep amassing troops at the border. However, there are a few popular theories. The first is that Mr. Putin is probing the international reaction before a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, a nation which was historically part of the Russian motherland, up until the developers decided to sunset the USSR as a playable faction. The second theory, however, is that Mr. Putin is simply trying to refresh his nationalistic pride bonus, which gives him a sizable popularity boost among his core voters, at the cost of a relationship penalty with the international community. Whatever the case, if one thing's for certain, it won't be the last time Mr. Putin does a little trolling. We now come to the Afghanistan server, which as we all know, was recently taken over by the infamous Taliban faction after the United States activated its world-renowned pull-out ability. Since then, the Taliban have heavily nerfed personal freedom, women's rights, and education within the country, but have however applied an indirect buff to the drug trade. Under US occupation, Afghanistan was already supplying an estimated 90% of the world's opium plants. However, this industry has only boomed under Taliban rule. As one Taliban representative explained, the economy of Afghanistan is heavily reliant on the opium trade to survive, and they fear that outright banning its cultivation and production would be detrimental without providing an alternative form of money generation. In a place as underdeveloped as Afghanistan, with food insecurity, crumbling infrastructure, and 24/7 great servers, it can be impossible to survive without resorting to otherwise extreme measures, and to many farms within the country, the drug trade has been the best way to feed their families. Experts predict that around 400,000 Afghan players are primarily employed through the cultivation of opium. And when that many families are relying on the drug to survive, it appears that the world's drug dealer was the most addicted all along. Viewers who want a full breakdown of this month's news can wait for our regular release at the end of the month. But until then, have a fucking good one.